Blood Alley, dancing on the devil's head.
Run until the streets run red.
No, killing till the streets run
kill
red.
Until the streets run red.
Ah, yes, me son. Oh, yes, yes.
Happy Thursday, children of the lawn.
Yes, happy Thursday. How are things on the lawn?
It's looking
Oh,
pretty
no,
good.
no. We don't need this now.
I think they are getting their drinks together. They're getting their smokes together. Lori's got
Chips?
a
You guys bring
on.
chips? Do you bring chips? What's going on here?
You gotta have some munchy food.
It's a different challenge every day, this thing. Anyway. No, not
What,
you.
your hair?
Not you. Yeah.
You just got it cut day before
I
yesterday.
know, it's freaking out. It was like, it was my second annual haircut.
Did you use your Amica? Yeah?
Yeah, I sure did.
He loves that Amica.
All right, what are we going to give away all my beauty secrets?
Hey, Sue was
You
trying
tell
to
them what
help.
shade of
They were
contacts
trying
I'm
to
gonna
help
wear?
us find something.
I'm kidding. No, well, the truth is, at this length, I don't really need to put anything in it. It's when it gets into that craziness that it's, it needs to be it needs to be like wound up. Because no matter how long it looked, it was another 4 inches longer than that because it's just curly cues. So
Love those curly cues.
so they're on the floor on First Street. So let's see. All right, let's.
Oh, and Sue, man, this guy.
Yeah.
He's got this.
New salon.
It's not like a robo. What do you call those? Roomba.
Oh, the hair thing.
A hair vac. It stands like in the corner, and he sweeps the hair towards it and pushes a button, and it
sucks the hair
sucks
up.
all the hair into this like box.
Pretty cool thing.
Sue says, "Don't push it back.
Don't push what back?
Your hair back."
Why? Well, it doesn't matter what I do to it. It only does one thing. It only does what it does.
I don't know, but Brenda says your hair looks great.
That's what it does. Well, we'll stick with that.
And Gail has lots of munchies, and Sue has chips.
Okay.
And Danny Hausler said Floby. No, John
John was the
used
Floby, man.
Yeah, and his hair looked great.
John and George Clooney, and I think Clooney got it from John.
I don't know. I know that John, we had it at our house. His Floby.
I felt like I had a sexual aid in my basement with this thing. The hose and the plastic thing that goes back and forth, and I'm like, the hell is this?
Hey.
And that was in the 80s. That was first tour shit.
And his hair looked great.
Gotta have a Floby. What? Gotta have what?
Oh, okay. Danny's Hausler says, "Laugh out loud. Inside secrets. Too funny." So he's heard that about the Floby.
Well, I don't think it was really a secret.
I don't think John went
Now,
advertising.
I will tell you. I will tell you a secret about Goldie. Should we talk about Goldie?
Oh man. They might not know who Goldie is.
They don't know who Goldie is. Anytime you see a picture of John from what was it, 89?
Yeah.
Had to be either
When all of a sudden
his hair was more blonde than mine was when it was blonde.
More blonde than Rogers.
That's Goldie.
Yeah, we called him Goldie.
And the thing about it was, she said, "Steve, who cuts your hair?" I said, "Shari cuts my hair. She's been cutting it for forever. Can you bring her to the hotel?" "Yeah, sure, no problem."
Not to cut it, though.
Not to cut it. He wanted to color.
Colored. And she does the foil thing, you know.
And I have pictures. You'll never see them, but I have pictures.
Oh, man, when
I got pictures of foil head
took
John.
It out, and his hair was like...
And he had, I'm telling you, he looked like frickin'
God.
Sting or some shit.
We started laughing, saying, "Goldie!"
Oh, we were crying. We were calling him Goldie that whole tour.
He was Goldie. And you know, we had another name for him.
Yeah, we had plenty.
Buffy.
Who?
Buffy.
Oh, Buffy. How did that happen? Who was the
vampire?
Right.
She was some slut he picked up at
some slut he picked up
at the Rainbow. She was dressed like a vampire for Halloween.
Oh, right, and we were calling him Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We called him Buffy for the rest of it.
Yeah,
he really didn't like that.
Yeah.
It kind of got him upset.
Yeah, but you know what? It didn't get him upset enough for him to say, "Stop calling me Buffy." Because he wasn't Goldie anymore.
No, he was happy not to be Goldie anymore. Oh, shit. Okay, so what do we have for you today? Part 3, Jimmy Ryan. Interesting conversations we've been having. And we'll continue to have.
He's got a book out, and Sue bought it.
Yeah?
And this guy's got some good stories.
Oh, he does have good stories. Well, I mean, if you can have 5 people in the same room for the same event, and no 2 of them are going to tell the story the same way. And although they all may be accurate, some just have more color than others, So.
Yes.
And Jimmy has a little flair. A little flair.
Kind of like the other Jimmy that had some flair.
Jimmy who had
Jimi
flair?
Hendrix.
Oh, well.
He had some flair.
He had some frickin' flair.
But yeah.
God, when my mother saw that poster...
What poster was it?
Hendrix with a big afro and... Oh, yeah.
On your wall?
No. On my wall. Of course on my wall. It was on the side of my van. No.
Well, I was the kind of teenage girl, my first poster on my wall was Alice Cooper hanging with blood dripping down his face. When my mother saw that poster, and I'm playing Dead Babies.
You think that she was listening to the lyrics?
I don't know. She just shut the door. They kind of acted like, we don't see anything, we don't hear anything. Why don't you go out with your friends?
Well, maybe you could hitchhike a couple of places.
No, they didn't want me to hitchhike. Oh, Sue just saw a huge double rainbow in her backyard. All right.
Oh, double rainbow.
Look for that pot of gold, Sue.
It's there. It's there. You just got to look for it.
She's freaking out.
She is?
Yeah.
Right at this very moment it's there?
Yeah. Kitty said, welcome to my nightmare. Actually, it was Alice Cooper Killer.
Well, let me tell you about Welcome to My Nightmare. He wrote that album while he was in the New York mental hospital. Was it New York Hospital, whatever it is? You know, where in White Plains, the New York Medical Center or whatever it
was it called Bloomingdale's?
No. It was on Bloomingdale Road. We called it Bloomingdale's.
New York Psychiatric Hospital.
Yeah, there you go. The New York City. That's where he wrote.
Where Alice Cooper wrote. Yes.
But
that was right across the street from where Steve used to play.
Yes. Come in.
Oh, we got Jimmy in the room.
Ooh. There we go. And there he is.
Hey!
There. Now you can hear me, I assume.
Hey, very nicely done.
So I tried fooling around with Zoom backgrounds like you're doing. It's really interesting. I get the tropical thing with the waves. Then I put some big studios. It clipped off my ears.
Oh.
I don't know why. I don't know how it happened, but I couldn't use it. So you're stuck with my stupid gold records.
No, that's okay. That's actually mine's right here. You see my little gold record right there?
Ah! A little hard to see. Hold on, I'm going to turn you up a little bit here.
I want to know what those gold records are for.
Well,
okay, I'm going to have to turn around and look because I can't see.
Let's let everybody know that.
Okay, this one, can you see it? This one is Cat Stevens' Buddha in the Chocolate Box. That had Oh Very Young on it and those albums. This one is Carly's Anticipation. This one is Carly's Coming Around Again. There were more from her, but the wall's only so big. This is Hot Cakes. Can you see that over there?
Yeah.
Hot Cakes over here, it came after No Secrets. This is No Secrets with Your Sylvana. This is Jim Croce's Mess Around with Jim, his album. I have a whole nother wall over there, the advertising awards and then the TV. It's like a trophy room. Hey.
Yeah,
anyway.
Well, you got it.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you did the work. You might as well display the hardware.
Well, the main reason for doing it is whenever anyone comes up here, it's how they get to. That's how I get recommended by their friends. It's done. It's an advertising.
Hey, listen, whatever gets you down the street, man, right?
Yeah.
And it's nice because it's all of those things and that whole circle of musicians and music that you were involved in was a very apparently from the outside in a very tight-knit group of players, you know what I mean, that sort of dug what each other were doing and everybody kind of went in the same. There was a cool time.
So much of it comes from recommendations too. And I mean, the Carly Simon thing, I cannot overstate the importance of that one, regardless of whether you like her music. She was so incredibly connected. I mean, we did things like going to the Kennedy's compound to play You're So Vain for Bobby Kennedy, all these, not Bobby Kennedy, but his son. And the whole Eunice and Grandma and Jackie O and her publisher was Jackie Onassis, her editor was Jackie Onassis. I mean, Bill Clinton came to her parties. That's the kind of people she hung out with. And like I told you before, when she was a kid, she's sitting in Einstein's lap. So through her, and there was a time when she was the babe. Like everybody thought she was the hot in her 20s. She certainly was. Like we all, no, not like we all were, but certainly we were better in those years.
Well, let's just say that it was as good as it was going to get at that point.
But that was her world.
No, it was. Yeah,
wasn't her father Simon from Simon and Schuster?
He was indeed. That's the guy who invented the paperback book. And got all kinds of flack about it because the literary industry says we're not trying to educate the ignorant. Books should be big, expensive. Yeah, that was what. And he says, no, let's get books out to the masses.
Oh, bougie, isn't it?
We're lucky and we're unlucky living in the times that we are. We're lucky because we have evolved, and we're unlucky because some of us haven't.
Well, Oh, I have thoughts on the subject.
How is
Okay.
how is
It's
Jim Croce?
but some of us. You want to talk about Jim Croce, Go
I
ahead.
loved Jim Croce.
How was he? Sweetheart of a guy.
Was
Really,
he?
really, really nice guy. Um, I didn't know him really well. We went to college together, but I didn't really know him in college. I saw him a couple of times at the Main Point in Philly, and he was there with his wife. And hi, how you doing? And then we met up again when we did the recording. But I only did one session with him. The good one, the one that broke his career. So no complaints. But that whole album was done virtually for free. And basically, Cashman and West played most of the instruments on it and pulled favors from everybody to do it because he didn't have a deal. And he got his deal with ABC based on what they had recorded, and then of course the rest is history.
Wow.
But yeah, just a real humble, nice, down to earth kind of guy. I don't know whether I talked about this before, but I remembered him for when he was singing with Ingrid, his wife, and she was the lead singer because she couldn't sing harmony. The girl could not sing harmony, so he let her sing the melody, and he would do the harmony. And I
She couldn't find it. Not she couldn't pitch. She couldn't find where it was.
couldn't find it. She'd fall down to the melody. Yeah, some people are like that. They can't hear anything but the melody, and they drift onto that. But they can do that. She had a kind of nice, sweet voice. But anyway, this is what I was told. What do I know? Anyway, when we did the first song, "You Don't Mess Around with Jim," I expected those kind of songs. They were just lovely, calm folk songs. Then he sings me, "You Don't Mess Around with Jim." And the last verse is about chopping people up and shooting them in the legs. I mean, it's just this bizarre, gruesome. I'm looking at him and Maury Muehlheisen, his guitar player. They're both just nice kind of Jersey boys. And it's like, and one leg off and cut his ear off and shot him in the head. And I don't remember what the words were, but they're like that.
But well, I know that. But I mean, what? So, but Carly, you were friends with. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
the people that was because to me, being in a band always was a social. It was always, family type of deal. It was,
Sure. In every way, the good side of family and the bad side of family.
Oh yeah, the worst side of family. Yeah,
Sure.
and absolutely. But and only recently did I come to do some work with people that I didn't know extremely well. So I like to be whatever comfortable. I like to know who have that chemistry or whatever. But it's interesting to be thrown into the pit and all of a sudden have to deliver for somebody that you don't have years of. That's got to be daunting in a way. No.
I learned from the best. I kept my eyes wide open. I made my mistakes because I knew Carly so well. Sometimes I put my foot in my mouth. But I noticed the guys around me, like Jim Keltner and Klaus Worman and those guys. I don't want to say they were highly political, but they were highly agreeable. Not yes men, but just really easy to be around. And what would you like? Sure, that'd be great. And always willing to try something. Never like, that's a stupid idea. Why would I want to do that? You don't. But some people will do that. And they get called once, no matter how good they are, and they don't get called
guys.
back. Yeah,
they were smart.
So you have to learn humility. I mean, this. You're a studio guy. You gotta keep your foot out of your mouth as much as possible, and realize you're being paid a lot of money to do their record, not your record.
Well, right. When you're there, you're in the army, man. You take your orders and you fulfill them above and beyond the call of duty. Absolutely, ahead of time, or under budget, ahead of schedule. Believe me, that's. But it's
the one person. I was going to say the one person who got away with not doing that. I don't know how he did it, but he really did. Was Rick Morata. I love Rick, and he's a good friend. But oh my God, can he bust balls? And we did a session with Dean Friedman. Have you ever heard of Dean Friedman?
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, he had a couple of hits way back. He gets in the studio, he says, Dean Friedman. Yeah, that's really rock and roll. What the hell kind of name is Dean Friedman?
Yeah, you told us that.
Yeah, you told us.
All right.
I mean, I can imagine. He's I wouldn't say he's the most politically correct person,
He doesn't
in our
care.
field. Oh, he
But
doesn't.
he's a killer drummer, and fun to be around as long
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
as long as you got
Yeah.
a thick skin.
Yeah, well, I had Mark Mazurin on the road on the show a few weeks ago, who lives in Woodstock next to his brother Jerry.
Okay.
Morata. Yeah.
So
Another
there's
good
I don't
drummer.
know. Yeah, there's some kind of dog thing going on up there, but I'm not.
Well, they both have dogs.
They have
Some
dogs.
dog thing going on up there.
The dog fight,
The Woodstock dog thing. No, nothing heinous like
kennel
that.
fight.
No.
So, speaking of guys whose wives don't sing really well,
Oh, he didn't say that.
Uh-oh.
how was it working with Paul?
Paul. Which Paul? Oh, McCartney. Oh, because Carly's first band was Paul Glantz. No, I don't know. And her producer was Paul Samuel Smith. There's a number of Pauls in the thing. Again, a total sweetheart of a guy. Just didn't I tell you that story about when he and Mick Jagger walked in the studio and maybe not. I'll run it briefly for those who didn't tune into the other two shows.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. No,
And you were going to read it more from your book.
Yeah, we're going to hear book stuff
Yeah.
Okay, so we were doing a session for not Night Owl, but oh god, I can't remember the song, but it was me, Robbie Robertson, Jim Keltner, Klaus Vorman, slide guitar, Little Feat, Lowell George. Yeah, and that wasn't enough. We were at Air London. Jagger was working in another one of George Martin's studios with the Stones, and McCartney was working at yet another. It was a complex of about 5 different studios, the original Air London. Jagger and McCartney both walk into the session just to hang out. And it's like, we're all going, holy shit. So Richard Perry comes out of the control room and he knows everybody. So he starts introducing, first of all, he says to Paul, do you know Mick? And they both looked at each other and went, yeah. It wasn't even a smile. It was just, yeah, him. They may have been putting us all on. But anyway, he starts introducing Paul to everybody in the room and he walks right past me and gets to the next person. And I'm standing there. It's like, what am I, the janitor here? And he never introduced me. Paul walks over to me, says, I'm really sorry. Richard has no manners. I'm Paul.
Wow.
And I said, thank you, Paul. I'm Jimmy Ryan.
Wow.
I said, we did a session together a couple of weeks ago, on the Carly side. He says, yes, I remember now. Nice to see you again. And he was just wonderful, so.
Wow.
Very, very sweet guy. And, he's got some talent.
Yeah.
I understand he plays bass and so he was with this band.
Backwards.
Something? I got to tell you something. Yeah. I was in a store. When was it? A couple of days ago. And somebody said something about an entity. I think I said, yes, something entity. And the little girl behind the thing says, I wish I was an entity. And I looked at her name tag and her last name was Starkey, like Ringo. And I said, well, of course you're an entity. You've got the same name as one of the greatest drummers in the world, Ringo Starr from the Beatles. She looks at me like I just quoted Einstein. She had no idea who I was talking about. She didn't know who the Beatles were. She didn't know who Ringo Starr was.
Well, how could she?
Yeah.
I mean, why would she? That's like somebody coming up to you and saying, "Gee, you sound like Woody Herman." When you're 4 years old, you're like, "Whoa!"
Woody Herman? Who?
How could it mean anything to her? That's.
You would think the Beatles would penetrate through, though, but
How old?
apparently not. Huh?
How old?
She was probably 20.
Oh,
21.
20. I thought
Okay, now
Okay.
a lot.
No, she was
I
the
thought you
waitress.
said- for some reason, I thought you said she was 4.
Yeah, I thought he did.
No.
Oh,
She was
shit.
the waitress. She was the waitress, and she was like really insecure. She says, God, I wish I was an entity. I said, what are you talking about?
I was. I see.
I have heard
I see.
that people have said, I didn't know Paul McCartney was in a band before Wings.
I've heard that before Wings, right?
Yeah, really. They didn't
Yeah.
know about the Beatles.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the the interesting thing about the Beatles and that whole thing is it's the songs, will they're like those classics that you'd have to really research who wrote that song, but everybody knows it. You know what I mean? And that's their stuff is timeless. And
That's the thing. And I've noticed in other situations, I'd be in stores and somebody asks you, you're a musician. I said, yeah. Who did you play with? And I say, Carly Simon. And they go, never heard of her. I said, you're so vain. Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Or I mentioned the Four Seasons because the Hitmen, my band, the Hitmen, were originally three of the Four Seasons.
Right.
Frankie who? What? And I go, oh, what a night. Oh, yeah, I know that song. So people remember songs, but they don't necessarily know who did them.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I get that. When I was in a band, Robin Zander and I put a band together. We called it the Robin Zander Band, and they said, "Who?" And, I want you to want me. So I know, believe me, I get it, and that was
even John Entwistle was like, who?
Yeah, Entwistle. That was another thing. You always had to qualify that. I mean, it wasn't like you were saying Pete Townsend or Keith Moon. John Entwistle was like.
But even that, I mean, if you mention that to a 20-year-old, you ask them who Taylor Swift is. They're there.
Right.
Who John Entwistle is? No.
This is their time.
Well, all right. So wait a minute. Let me drop a little weirdness on you then.
Oh.
Okay.
There is a girl, and I'm assuming, this is the internet, so I'm just going by how it reads, right?
Okay.
There's a girl who is a young girl, 20s, who is so obsessed with Entwistle, knows everything about him.
Right.
I can't even go into how upset, and how does that happen? You know what I mean? It's like, and not.
How old?
She's in her 20s.
Yeah, I think.
Wow. Huh?
Yeah. She was. I think because she turned 21 at a certain point, and so she was like in her late teens or 20s.
I think she has the spider necklace.
Yeah, she's
a bone suit jacket.
Yeah, that's right. She had the bone suit jacket made, and she's cool.
He'd be old enough to be her grandfather.
Yeah.
Well,
for real.
No, you remember? For all we know.
Yeah. Oh.
Grandpa John.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
You never know. Those guys were on tour a lot.
Yeah.
One night stand he forgot about, and
oh boy.
Love child.
No, but she's cute, but she's like obsessed, and her mother even wrote something to Steve saying, "My daughter is obsessed with John Entwistle."
And it's not in a dangerous way, and she's an attractive looking young woman.
Yeah.
It's just. Hey,
she knows his solo
keep
stuff.
buying those records.
Yeah.
But nice girl, right? So and it's just okay, sure. Indeed. So you never know. You never know where it's going to come down. So man, so the McCartney sessions, all the stuff was that all in England or was it here?
All in England.
Really?
Yeah. I lived there for a number of years. I first went over. My first time over there was when we did the Anticipation album, and I just fell in love with the place. And then we did the No Secrets album, and after that, I just said, "That's it. I'm moving here." So I sold my worldly goods, rented my apartment, gave my apartment lease over to a friend, and just nothing on the docket, nothing on the schedule. Just moved to North London.
Wow,
just out
that's
of the blue.
Brave.
It wasn't. It was okay because You're So Vain was like #1 in the world, and I was going in with that, in my pocket, in my back pocket. So the first thing I did was I would go up to record companies, say, "Hey, I'm looking for session work." I had to hustle a little bit, and it was fine. It worked out. I had a good time. I had a couple of bands over there that sucked.
Yeah, but you were in the right place at the right time
and
when
it's
you were at the bar that the guy knew about the Who needing someone to play on their record.
Oh, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just met him at a club,
Right.
It
Right
turns out
place, right time.
he produced Thin Lizzy, and he's a serious producer. So
No, it is right place, right time, and it's very funny because it's different doing sessions than being in the band. You got to know that.
oh yeah, sure.
I mean, anybody can walk in and be perfect for a week,
Yeah.
but a couple of months down the road on the bus, that's when it happens.
It does, and you can. There are also people that start off in bands, and I'm not going to mention any names, that really aren't very good. And there are people in that same band that are good, and they start going apart like this. And you say, do we kick the guy out? Oh my God, he's a founding member, but I don't think he's ever picked his instrument up between gigs. And, you get that kind of thing. And I had a situation like that in a very big band I was in, which name I won't mention, the Critters. And, and I'm not going to say who it was, but there were some personnel issues.
Gene Cornish said to tell you hello.
Oh yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
My buddy Gene.
Yeah.
I told you my story about playing with the Rascals, right? About Where the Action Is tour that we did with them.
No.
Okay.
Oh, no. That was my first concert, the Rascals.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they were headlining Dick Clark's Where the Action Is tour, and we were on it. And let's see who else. B.J. Thomas, the Knickerbockers.
Wow.
It was good. It was a really good tour. And I don't here. There were about 15 people on it. And here, I don't know whether you can see this or read it. Can you see the price?
Oh, yeah, Where the Action Is show. Sure.
Can you see the price?
Where if I could find 350,
250 to see like 10 bands with #1 records. That was 1966. That
wow.
and then I recall going to Jones Beach, or not going to Jones Beach, but looking up Peter Gabriel playing at Jones Beach, and the front seats were $1,500 a ticket. Just for Pete, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Rascals were the headline band, and we show up for the first gig, and it's in Long Island. And the tour manager says, great, where's your equipment? Well, our manager told us we didn't need to bring any equipment, just bring your guitars. You can use the Rascals stuff. And I said that to him. He said, I didn't get that memo. Hey, Gene, come here a minute. And he comes over and he says, I said, hey, Gene, man, we're big fans. He says, what's the deal? And I told him what they said. Our manager said, we could use your equipment. He says, your what? Said you could what? What are you talking about? What's your manager's name? And I said, Jerry Davis. He says, didn't talk to me or anybody in the band. I know he didn't talk to Sid Bernstein, and we would have heard about it. And I'm just sitting there ready to go into a panic attack, because now we're playing with all these stars. What are we going to do? An a cappella set with my little 12-string guitar? So Gene made a deal. He says, you know what? I don't want to bust your chops. Somebody obviously screwed up and dropped the ball. You can use our equipment on one condition. I said, what's that? He says, you set it up and you load it into the truck at the end of the day. And I went,
deal.
And I wanted, well, yeah, deal, except that he used a Fender Twin, which is about as heavy as a pickup truck. And hello, Hammond organ and a Leslie speaker.
Oh, yeah.
Just throw that on your back, okay? So you got to figure a show that runs 3 hours. It runs from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night. We're all beat out of our minds. And I got to go start moving equipment at the end every night for 30 freaking days.
They didn't have road crew?
Well, yeah, but that wasn't the deal. The road crew wasn't. We were the guys.
Wow.
There were 2 roadies, and they helped us, but we still had to do a lot of heavy lifting.
So he was using the Twins. He wasn't using the Standells anymore, or whatever that was.
Not on that tour. I'm pretty sure it was a Fender Twin. Felix just used a Mike Leslie. I don't think there was no other amp besides that, and there was no bass player, so it was just the pedals. So it was just the one amp, but it was a whole drum kit with
oh man,
lift all those fiberboard cases. And
the fiber cases. We were just talking about those the other night before flight cases.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Fiber cases, man. I mean, they didn't last very long. If you were really working,
Nope.
nah,
No.
that's like having a gig bag and going on,
Yeah. A gig bag and thrown it in the hold of the plane.
yeah, no, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, someone had asked a question back when we were talking about Paul McCartney.
Okay.
Richard, one of our regular viewers, says, "Was it McCartney and Wings that you did the session for?"
No, it was Carly Simon.
Oh,
No,
Carly Simon. Oh, so you didn't play a session with McCartney?
No, I didn't. Let me qualify that. Okay. So we were doing a background vocal. I thought I talked about this, but maybe not. May not have gotten up to it. But
no,
we
we
were
didn't
doing
get
back.
this far.
Okay, we were doing backup vocals for one of James Taylor's songs, Night Owl, and it was me, Carly, Bonnie Bramlett, Delaney and Bonnie, and Doris Troy. That was the group, and we were doing the vocals, and we do them over and over again. And Richard Perry kept hitting the button. No, that's not it, man. It's you keep going, keep coming. Try something else. And we weren't getting it. All of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, we did a take, and Richard didn't say anything. We're waiting. And like, what's going on? And I kind of lean around the outside of the baffle to look into the control room. And I said, oh, he's talking to somebody. And somebody just walked into the control. Wait a minute. It was McCartney. He walked into the control room just to see who was, these guys can do that. They just walk on anybody's sessions and nobody's going to say, what are you doing here? Get out of here. So Paul just kind of hit the talkback button and said, Richard told me you're having a little bit of a hard time with the vocals. You want me to come out, maybe make some suggestions? And it was like, oh my God, McCartney's going to come out and sing with us. So he did. He came out and made like one or two suggestions. He said, Jimmy, you sing this. Carly, you sing this part. Doris, you get this one. Bonnie, try this. I'll sing the part in the middle. And he does this on the spot arrangement that ended up the record. And it was fantastic. But it gets better. At the end of the session, and Bonnie and Doris left, and Richard and Carly and Paul and I are in the studio. And he says, look, they called me to do a film soundtrack. I've never done anything like that before. They wanted a theme song. You guys want to hear it? I don't mind playing it. I see if it's any good. Yes, tell me if it's any good. He sits down and plays Live and Let Die. We're the first people on the planet Earth to hear the damn song other than my wife. Wow. So did I play with him? Well, I was on Live and Let Die on the piano, leaning on it while he played. And then the next day, they did the live recording with the London Symphony or whatever, studio guys from the London Symphony. So we got to he said, come on over, we're recording it tomorrow. So we got to hang out in the studio with him and George Martin and listen to them, and it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah,
absolutely. That was that. I only encountered Paul once, and that was at the 9/11 show backstage at the Garden.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, initially John said, "Nah, I'm not going to do that show."
John Lennon?
John Entwistle.
No, John Lennon.
John Entwistle.
John.
I'm not going to do that.
Had already expired.
Yes.
Yeah. No. John. Initially, Pete called John and said, "Paul McCartney wants us to do this show at the Garden," and John said, "I can't. I'm playing."
Well, because he had already set up a fundraiser.
Because we were already in the middle of a tour. We had a whole tour booked. And then we had already added the fundraiser because,
for the 9/11 victims.
Because it turned out we were doing B.B. King's, I think. We were playing a night at B.B. King's, and they agreed to give us an extra night because we were going to do it for the fundraiser. And that was the same night as the Garden show.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So,
did anyone show up?
To where?
B.B. King's?
B.B. King's.
Are you kidding me?
All right.
Yeah.
With the Garden show going on, huh?
It was insane.
Wow.
That's if you watch that show, if you watch the 9/11 show, the Who went on really early. I don't know if they edited it in order, but I was there for sound check at like 3 p.m. They went through the set, and they were on early because John had to go and play his fundraiser.
Yeah.
Oh, far.
And
They
raised
perform
10
well.
grand for
Did he-
some families that they gave the money directly to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did he use like 8 Marshalls at BB King's, like a huge stack of amps?
He used the same rig that he used everywhere. At that time, he was using the ASS cabinets. He was using like 812s and 415s, and he was just about to trade the 15s in for 10s to go that way. But but no, he was using Little Manhattan, as they would call it. It was nuts, man. It was.
Somebody told me he did that at Mohegan Sun. He said he was so freaking loud you could hear him in the parking lot.
Yeah,
and Mohegan Sun's the size of Radio City.
I played that show.
Yeah,
I was in the Wolf Den or whatever it is.
Yeah, in the Wolf Den, exactly. We've played that a couple of times. A little bit big rig for that. So you know.
We played a place called the Turning Point in Piermont, New York, which is a
Turning Point.
Steep, listening room.
Yeah.
And the crew comes up to John and said, "How much should we bring in?" And he said, "What do you mean?" And they said, he said, "Well,
you do a great John."
What do you mean? And they said, "Well, it's kind of small in there." And he said, "All of it." And they brought his whole rig in, and he took up most of the stage. And I said, "Well, if he's doing that, I'm doing that." And my whole set went up there, and the keyboard player had to set up on the stairs with the guitar player standing in front of him. And people wanted to sue us because we were so loud. We got lawyers' letters forever. It was,
right.
Oh God,
right.
Yeah.
Townsend's learned because he's killed his ears. Van Halen's brother, Alex Van Halen, has like about 30% of his. Is he still alive? Did Alex die?
No,
he's alive.
No, he's still alive. But Alex was down to about 30% of his hearing. I took my nephew to an Iron Maiden. My nephew's a real metalhead, and I took him for his birthday. I took him to an Iron Maiden concert. I got really good seats, like 10th row, right in the front. And we got to our seats, and he goes, "Uh-oh," and I said, "What?" He says, "Have you ever been to one of these concerts before?" I said, "No, I got this for you because I knew you liked the band." He says, it's going to be a little loud, Dad, or Uncle Jim. And I went, "Yeah, I can probably take that." Oh my God. I didn't care. I did not care. I spent the whole concert with my fingers in my ears. I don't care if half the kids thought I was a dweeb. I just didn't care. It was unbearable. My ribs were almost broken by the bass.
Well, I did a show with Megadeth, and I understand.
Oh, what?
Oh yeah. We
played drums with Megadeth?
Oh
no. I was playing. It was a NAMM show, and they were releasing the End Whistle commemorative bass, and we put a trio together. And we played at whatever the place is where the Angels play baseball, in Anaheim, near there, whatever. Yeah. And so we played there, and Megadeth played after us. And the thing that blew my mind, it's going back quite a ways, is they had no pedals. There were no pedals. There was the roadies made the changes off the stage. They're just playing. There's no step up and step on your pedal. It's like the sound just changes when it's supposed to. It was like, wow, yeah.
Okay,
that's a skill.
So just to give you loud, I'll give you 2 anecdotal John things. We're playing Rockin' the Hills in North Dakota, I think, and Yes had just played, and Metallica's sound man was the front of house guy for Yes on this particular tour, and he comes up to our sound man and he says, "These guys are too loud for outside."
And they were.
And he told that to John, and John wore it like a badge of honor for the rest of his life. Too loud for outside.
Now, I got to tell you, I've seen The Who a couple of times, and I did not find them anywhere near as loud as Iron Maiden. They were fine. They were loud, but they were loud in a way that made it rock.
It's different. Yeah.
I mean, there are vocals that you have to hear. So And Daltrey, who worked with Daltrey? I can't remember. They said his monitor levels were so insanely loud. He had the side fills cranked to like 100, 4 monitors in the front of him, all just cranking. And you could hear him in the next town when he was doing sound check. And he's like, are you going to put the band in there anywhere? No,
believe me, the band gets in. But that's what all the that was the basis of all the bullshit that went on in the band on the road was John's volume and Roger I can't hear myself, and
that's when in-ears were invented. It just saved everybody's life. I mean, for me with the Hitmen, we were 4-part harmony all the time. We were doing 4-season songs a lot, and if you can't hear yourself well, it's bad. And it was kind of okay. And then I just said, I'm just going to spend the money. And I bought a couple of Sennheiser units for the guitar, wireless and wireless, thing like that. And then I got this app for the iPhone where you can do your own mix. It ties into the monitor mixer. And I would sit there and dial in my own mix. And then I'd always have them put 2 mics by the front of the stage to get the room sound. So it didn't sound like so isolated and dry. It was like putting on headphones and listening to a record. Oh my God, did my singing improve, my timing improved, because I could hear everything exactly the way. But when I'm listening to monitors in front of me, and Steve Murphy's hitting crash cymbals at 120 dB.
Yeah, well, see, now I, in the 70s, was the singing drummer, and I had the giant kit. Yeah. So I wasn't the lead vocalist, but I was I was the first harmonies and I was the second lead, if whatever. Mm-hmm. And I tried using the big boom stands that they have in the studio, the Atlas, that major crazy.
Oh, the big gigantic things with the counterweight. Yeah. It's like a cinder block.
I had one of those, right, and it had a gooseneck that came down in front of it. Yep. But you can't have something here and play. It's like you can't play like this, So when Shure came out with the SM10, which is that first wireless microphone, I got a set of Koss 727 full cup headphones, screwed the microphone into the side.
Yeah.
This is 74, 75, and our front of house sound man he was always there. So it was like, tweak. He built me a kill switch for the mic. He built me a kill switch for the headphones, and I was in the studio, but live.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's great. We had a different situation. We didn't play loud at all. I would use a 410 Blues DeVille mic, but I didn't crank it. I did everything with my pedals. I have a Zoom. I don't know what vintage it is, but with the amp sims in there, you can get like a Marshall stack out of that thing, and it's very, very convincing. So why turn it up? So we were pretty quiet on stage, and our biggest problem was with the mixer. He said, I don't even have the drums. Jerry Polchi was our original drummer, and Jerry played hard and loud. He sang "Oh What a Night," and he's a singing drummer, but he played like a caveman. And the guy said, I don't have any drums in the mix, and they're still louder than anybody on stage. He said, I don't know what to do. And people are complaining, I hear the drums really good, but the band is kind of quiet. God.
Well, okay, one of our viewers wants to know, why do musicians on concerts play too loud?
To get to the other side.
Because they believe the music is more powerful if they do. That's the only thing.
Let me quote. They don't believe it's too loud to start with.
Because they're deaf.
No, not. No, that's not. No, they become deaf.
They become deaf.
No, they don't believe it's too loud. They believe it's at a level that matches the rest of the energy on the stage.
What Jerry used to say about it was, I can't get my sound playing lightly. He says, my sound is a tough, punchy sound. And if I start playing light, like, like a jazz drummer, you're not going to get that sound. There's not going to be any punch. He says, so I have to play that loud. And then we start cranking things up to keep up with them. Steve Murphy, our second drummer, was also, he was better at toning it down when he needed to. But I've never worked with a drummer that liked somebody telling them to play quieter. Do you like that?
Do I know? Well, no, it's not true, because it depends what we're playing. I mean, I play with, I'm not, look, if you said it before, if I was on your session and I was hired to be a timekeeper or give you whatever it is my nuance is that you want, I'm going to give you that all day long. But me as a drummer, in a creative situation, you would think I was getting paid by the note. So I'm doing a lot of drags and ghosting and a lot of that. I like to play.
Well, tell me what the guy from Mayapack Music just said the other night.
What?
This music store owner was on. He's also in a band, and him and his brother are in the back room, and there's a drum set up in the front of the music store, and he said that somebody hit the bass drum and they thought a cannon went off, and they looked and it was Steve. So yeah.
Well, and you resemble that remark.
I'll tell you why. I'm going to blame it on Hendrix and Mitch Mitchell. Okay. They're the reason that I play as hard as I play. And the reason for that is I heard that Jimmy used at least 2 plexis, if not 3, in the studio to get that sound. Right? I mean, he was using stacks of Marshalls to get that sound. And I said, man, how hard must Mitch Mitchell have to be playing to be even heard over that? Thinking about microphones, so I'm swinging from back here but I want to be that kind of fast and articulate and delicate too. So that's why I play. I always
the buzzes and drags don't work so well when you're playing like this.
Well, but they do when you go there. I mean, I'm just not. That's. There's no point in that for me. I love the landscape of what percussion does, and what it brings to the song. So, in the Entwistle band, it wasn't quite as dynamic as other bands.
It was a dogfight.
It was very much a dogfight, but it was the most enjoyable war I've ever been in my life.
Oh, that's funny. Did you guys do any Who songs, or was it all his songs?
Oh yeah. Oh, I gotta. Yeah, we did. Okay, do I have this? Can I show you this? Because
who sang lead?
Our bass player. Oh God, I haven't told you.
John was your bass player.
No, our bass player. I'll tell you. Wait, let me just see if I even have it. I know what he's talking about. Okay, here you go.
Everything that was like.
Who is that?
That's Meg Griffin.
Oh, okay.
That's John Entwistle.
Oh, I see him. Yeah.
John Entwistle.
Okay, so let me qualify this for you.
Yeah.
We're at NAMM 87. I said, you want to jam? He says, anytime. I said, okay. My band knows blah, 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 blah. So our bass player in Rat Race Choir was also the singer. So I told John we're going to jam, and told him, I think I told you the story, went to the Vic Theater and blah, blah, blah. Well, this is what resulted, because he wasn't expecting us to actually know the songs. So this is,
boy.
I won't play you the whole thing, but this is what it is.
The guy's great.
Anyway, you get the point. Yeah.
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 I should have let him do it. Just try to help you, son.
But they had never rehearsed. They met that day.
Yeah, we met that day, and I said, yeah, we're going to go play.
Yeah.
Well, you know the song. You know the song. Probably sounds better than the.
Well, but the funny thing about it is this. I mean, you'll appreciate this. Where he says I pick him up. Kramer sends like the limousine of chariot of the gods for me. It's bigger than my motel, and
It was the 80s.
Yeah, and I go to the Drake where he's staying. He comes down and it's like, we're going to jam. Yeah. What are we going to play? I said, we'll play some Who songs. He said, I don't know any. we'll teach them to you. So the guys finally came and they routined the stuff, and it was like 3 or 4 songs in the set. Yeah. And he said, we did the live at Leeds stuff because we used to do it when we were kids. We used to do a lot. And he said, you guys even learned the mistakes.
Right. Oh God, that's funny.
Yeah. So that's how that.
Live at Leeds that's some crazy stuff. My generation, the riffs he does in my generation are just great.
I gotta play you. I'll say Young Man Blues and Summertime Blues, Shaking All Over, the stuff that we did. That that were the covers that he loved to still do. You know what I mean? All that, it's nuts, and it was it was John doing what he liked to do the best, playing fast and loud, and
not having anybody tell him to
turn down. Having anybody tell him to turn down.
Oh yeah, I'll take 2.
Or what to play. You don't have Townsend telling him what to play.
Well, there's also a very interesting interview about that, about Townsend telling him what to play. I asked Pete once, I said, when you demoed My Generation, was the bass solo in there? And he said, oh, yes. It was a cruddy old bass solo, But yeah, he just sort of went digga 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 da 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 da, and just showed where the bass solo should be. And John went in and did that thing like he was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But here we go with that again. So, did you want to give us something from the book? Did you have something from the book?
I do. I have four selections for you that you can decide which one you want to hear.
Okay.
When I auditioned for Pump Boys and Dinettes, that's a funny one. I actually got to be an actor on Broadway by accident.
Wow.
Totally by accident. Funny story from when I was in Hair, or we could do the Playboy party at the Playboy Mansion when I dropped acid. and tried to play with Carly for the guests. And the other one was when the critters got thrown in jail for shooting up a motel.
Oh, I think I want to hear that.
Oh, well, listen, ladies' choice. We'll go with the shot up motel.
Let's hear
All right, hold on. Let me pull that one up. I titled this chapter, I Fought the Law and the Law Won. all the chapters in the book have song titles. So
did you have, not to be a business, but did you have to clear that, or did it not matter? Was it not enough?
Well, so far so good.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything. You can't copyright a song title because there's something about a song title. If you sing it in a chorus, you can copyright lyrics, but for some reason, how many songs have been called Laura?
Yeah, right. Sure.
I looked up a song the other day. I'm trying to remember what it was. I can't remember, but there are 18 songs on Spotify with the same title, all by different bands and there were different songs.
Right.
So,
and movies too.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, movies. I've seen with the same name for a different movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just to preface this thing, for anybody who doesn't know, if you have younger people, the Critters were a band from the 60s that had hits Younger Girl, Mr. Dyingly Sad, Don't Let the Rain Fall Down on Me, and a string of ones that only made like top 80. We were an easy listening band. We were considered kind of light in the loafers. We were not like The Who in any way, shape, or fashion, but we did nice songs with really nice harmony and yada, yada. Okay. It was the spring of 1967, and we were the champions. No longer hometown sock hop cover band things. We were looking up. Younger Girl was by every description a hit. We had made it into the national top 40 and to number 7 in New York radio. The band was now enjoying an extended run of packed venues and cheering fans. We always did well in the Northeast and often played in upstate New York. Glens Falls, a popular year-round resort area, a hot spot for music, and at the time, a small local community with a conservative leaning, would host us for the gig I will now describe. Kenny Gorka, Chris Darway, Jack Decker, our manager, Jerry Davis, and me, Jimmy Ryan, were on the road. Collectively, we were the rock band known as the Critters. On a cloudy Friday morning, we left Westfield, New Jersey in our vintage Pontiac stretch limousine, motored up the scenic New York State Thruway, and arrived in Glens Falls mid-afternoon. We were early for the load-in and needed a few odds and ends, so we checked into our motel, then headed into town to get what we needed. The local mom and pop shop, general store, suited our needs, so we let ourselves in, looked around, found everything in our list: bottle opener, jeweler's screwdriver to tighten my glasses, potato chips, a soda. Band manager and resident adult, Jerry Davis, browsed the aisles, spotting a small but well-stocked guns and ammo section. He thought about his home in Hillside, New Jersey, where lurked an annoying blue jay in his backyard. This little feathered nuisance kept buzz-bombing his wife's equally annoying, nasty, yapping, shaved like a pimp dog poodle and scaring the piss out of her. At first, he considered blowing the bird away with lethal firepower, but in a rare Sierra Club moment of compassion, he decided to go easy on the errant little jay and limited his assault purchase to a BB rifle. Soon, the little bugger would feel the agonizing sting of a speeding copper bead in his butt and leave the damn poodle alone. We didn't notice Jerry throwing the BB gun in the back. It wouldn't have cared if we did. We left the store and proceeded to the hall to set up for the show. Our evening performance was a killer, and the crowd cheered us like heroes. We did 2 encores, took our bows, waved goodbye to our fans, and headed back to the motel. I was exhausted, so I hopped into bed, switched on the TV to catch a bit of Johnny Carson while Chris, my roommate for the night, unpacked. Then came the sound of a fist on the door. Blam, blam, blam. Chris and I looked at each other like, what the fuck? Chris got up, walked to the door, started to open it, but got knocked out of the way by our Jerry, the commando bonehead BB gun wielding manager, who fired several shots in our direction. The first round splintered the glass ashtray, also breaking the glass on 2 ugly pictures over the bed. The second and final insult round pierced the can of Orange Crush on my nightstand. The perforated can peed orange liquid all over the broken glass, the nightstand, my watch, my guitar picks, and change, and found it on its way to the motel carpeting. Cute. He and my other bandmates then took turns levying the same assaults on each other's rooms. It wasn't quite up to The Who or Van Halen doing their well-known level the motel routine, but they were pleased with their rampage light stupidity, and I was so tired I didn't give a shit. Whatever. I switched off the TV and fell asleep. The next morning, we decided to just throw $20 bills on the dressers and leave the mess for the maids. It was breakfast time. We were famished, and being seasoned road rats, we were ready to brave the local diner. Kenny, our resident groupie magnet, had picked up 2 cute but barely 15-year-old girls the night before and was smart enough to not bring them to the motel. He was, however, not smart enough to exclude them from brunch. We picked up the 2 way too sexy for their age illegals on a corner not far from the diner. Rolling into the diner parking lot, we stepped out of the limo in slow-mo, hair to the wind like Fabio with our little groupies, and made our grand entrance like the superstars we always wanted to be. Upon my request, a waitress and busgirl slid 2 tables together, set out napkins, salt, pepper, ketchup, diner-grade coffee mugs, and aluminum ware for all. We all took our seats. We ordered a typical road rat breakfast: eggs, bacon, pancakes, coffee, more coffee, wolfed it all down in 45 minutes of nonstop, high-pitched, limited vocabulary, run-on sentences from our 2 perky little barely teens. We were done. I paid the tab and we swaggered out all cool, climbed into our limo, drove a half mile or so, dropped the groupies off where we had picked them up about a block from their houses so they wouldn't catch hell from their parents, and made our way back towards the Thruway. We were happy, full, and heading home. After a few blocks, we hear Chris, who was driving quietly, say, "Shit." I knew the tone. I knew that tone, and it took little to realize that the swirling beacons and police wailer, loud enough to be heard through the airtight limo windows and coming from behind us, belonged to a state trooper to whom we were of interest. We pull over, he opens his door, gets out and slowly struts up like Clint Eastwood with a pole up his ass, looks the limo over, head to tail, peers inside, front seat, back seat, and in his toughest, subdued yet confident macho voice, treats Chris to an unemotional license and registration with no pleas. Chris complies. Magnum Force looks it over, stuffs it in his pocket, and with a mildly disinterested tone tells Chris to follow him in his squad car. Then a second police car arrives, then a third. You could say we were now giving this scenario our undivided attention as we threw a few hypotheses around while soiling ourselves. Did they see the two statutories get out of the limo and decide we had sampled them in glorious rock and roll fashion? Was this about to get deadly serious? Our garish white Pontiac airport limo was now surrounded by 4 patrol cruisers rolling through the quiet town of Glens Falls and headed for God knows where. Too bad there was no TV crew to document our ridiculous motorcade. In about 5 minutes, we found ourselves in the parking lot of the state police campus, complete with a courthouse and the Warren County State Prison. Blood pressure, heart rate, elevated. The arresting trooper ordered us out of the limo and had us lean against it, hands and legs spread, reality TV fashion, while the other troopers looked on. That's when central casting kicked in. As if it were a cheesy direct-to-VHS B movie, up struts a 50-something crew-cut, chiseled chin, steel-browed, cheap-suited, butt-ugly, grimacing detective who, without introducing himself, spews out every curse word in the English language. And I'm going to quote, hopefully I can... What the fuck do we have here? Is this the kind of sissies Jersey sends up these days? What do you faggots sit down and piss? Fucking disgraceful. Get them out of my sight before I puke. Seriously, That's exactly what he said. Was it our long hair? It was still mid-60s after all, and let's face it, Glens Falls was not London. We had foolishly forgotten to wear our crew cut wigs. The disgusted detective turned, mumbling more profanities, and headed back to wherever he came from. And 4 cops escorted us into the station to address our as yet unknown crimes. We were then taken to separate rooms, each with our own personal intimidator. Always the joker and always trying to lighten things up. I say to the officer that looks like my dad, "Gee, sir, can't we just replace the burned out taillight, pay the ticket, and be on our faggy way?" I got a somewhat cynical smile out of him, but he countered with, "You think this is funny? You're a comedian? You kids are in a big heap of trouble." I replied, "What do we do? What are the charges? We weren't speeding and our turn signals work fine as far as I know." He sneers, malicious mischief, son. You really pissed off the motel owner with your little shooting spree and he's pressing charges. You can get 3 to 5 for that up here." I quietly freaked to myself. Jesus fucking Christ. He did not just say 3 to 5 years. Now I'm not smiling. I'm not joking and I'm not happy. I pleaded, "Oh, come on, we'll replace the stupid 99-cent crap paintings, clean the rug and buy 20 new ashtrays for the idiot motel owner. Let's not get crazy here." Now he's laughing, but doesn't explain why. After reading me my Mirandas, he simply says, "Follow me, son." He leads me to a wall-mounted phone from my one call. I call our band lawyer, Phil Kernan. He's upset, but he says he'll get right on it. I would have preferred a plan, but that was it. Click. Interrogator dude now leads me to the fingerprinting station. Cold black grease on my slowly rolling fingertips, well secured in the vice grip of fingerprinting dude, immortalizing my unique identifiers in 10 little blocks on the print page. I am then escorted into the next room where I get my close-up taken by the Warren County Jail photographer. Front, profile, next. Another room with a very tall counter about as high as my chin, attended by Jabba the Hutt. I am instructed to empty my pockets, rings, belt, and watch into a brown envelope and sign across the seal. I comply. He takes it from me with a grunt, and my escort and I begin my utterly miserable dead man walking passage to the clink. We are about to do hard time for intent to kill a blue jay and the collateral damage of a few broken ashtrays and a soiled carpet. We arrive in an unnumbered cell block with bars, walls, floor, and ceiling all painted the same, government grade lizard shit green. My cell consists of a sink, an ice cold piss covered toilet with a seat, without a seat, complete with an assortment of pubic hairs. The bunk came with one war surplus rat ass dried snot wool blanket with a bare gray and white striped body fluid stained mattress.
Oh.
Yeah. In complete horror, I dragged myself into my new sweet Jesus please, very temporary accommodations, sit down on the steel wall-hung bed, and I'm struck by the smell of fetid body odor. It was wafting up from the disgusting blanket, a chilling reminder of previous unwashed tenants, no doubt murderers, rapists, child molesters, and worse. This was no white-collar Paris Hilton halfway house. This was a place where blues songs were written about, and we were trapped here with a cast of characters sporting the scariest resumes I would ever hear. We spent the first night by ourselves in our individual cells. We had not seen nor spoken to each other in about 18 hours. I slept well in my clothes, despite my fears, worries, and the ever-present BO wafting up from my blanket, but did not wake up to the sound of singing robins. Prisons have their own unique alarm clocks. The wake-up call is a sequential banging of metal and gears. Clang, clang. The sound of the automatic 3-inch diameter steel lockdown bolts crashing open. I thought someone was slamming my cell bars with an aluminum baseball bat. Wow. Talk about a violent wake up and a feel like shit moment. Once everybody was up, we were ordered to strip, handed towels, a tiny bar of soap, a welded shut scrape razor with no shaving cream, and march with a group of other naked men into the community showers.
Oh.
Yeah, seriously. Astonishingly, everybody was cheerful and joking, basically making light of an otherwise horrible and humiliating situation. The constant comment from anyone we spoke to was, "You'll get used to it." We showered, dried off, marched semi-naked back to our cells, and got dressed. Unfortunately for us, the Warren County State Prison had our suitcases, so we had two options: spend the day naked or get back into our dirty clothes. No clean underwear, nice crispy socks.
Oh.
I know, this is pretty disgusting. Breakfast time. We're marched down to the dining hall, seated in comfortable leather chairs to well-appointed tables with fine silverware, linen napkins, and beautiful antique china, then served eggs Benedict, French toast, fresh squeezed orange juice, imported gourmet coffee, choice of umpteen cereals, fresh croissants. Not. Steel chairs, steel tables, steel guards everywhere. Plastic trays and utensils were handed to us to enjoy a buffet of corn, pig intestine hash, lizard eggs, seasoned rat turds, meadow muffins, and some lukewarm mystery liquid that might have been coffee in the Jurassic period, but now had aged into the kind of swill that resembled what oil rigs dump into the Gulf when they explode. Encouragement, I made myself laugh. Encouragement from all our cellmates abounded. You'll get used to it. With our delicious and nutritious first meal and Shea Clink out of the way, we had lots of leisure time to reflect on personal matters like suicide, insanity, starvation, goiter, rickets, and maybe getting a fucking lawyer. Stat. I put in the first request for full current and was immediately advised that if I brought in one of those highfalutin New York lawyers, the judge would likely hit us with the maximum sentence. The solution was a local alcoholic ambulance chaser who regularly played golf with the judge and who rumor had it was generous in sharing fees with the bench when charges and sentences went his way. We reluctantly agreed, and they escorted us into the windowless interrogation room. A few minutes later, our vodka-marinated public defender staggered in and plopped down on one of the comfy steel chairs. Despite the alcohol in his breath, he seemed very confident and knew what he was doing. He coached us to say in court exactly what he instructed, word for word, to neither embellish nor omit any testimony, and promised things would, quote, work out if we did. I said, but Jesus, all this for a couple of ashtrays and a few excremental works of art that couldn't even pass for trash can liners? After a moment or two of silence, and with a quizzical expression, he said, "What did you just say?" I repeated my question. He said, "What about the smashed TV, ripped out sink, and cracked toilet?" We all looked at each other in horror. What the actual fuck? We could only guess at this point what had followed our relatively minor acts of BB gun terrorism. Apparently, there had been a bit of vandalism at the motel from rock groups in the past, and the owner hated bands, kids, music, and fun. And since it was the beginning of the season, decided to make an example of us. After we checked out and the maids reported the broken glass, he allegedly entered one of the rooms, saw the minor damage, and decided to embellish a little. Someone, not us, smashed a TV and ripped a sink right out of the wall. He then called the state police, claiming we had nearly blown up the motel. And of course, the rest is history. Through no doing on our part, we had officially joined the ranks of Keith Moon, Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey. I didn't put John in here, but what the hell? John and all those bands that made a practice of redecorating hotel rooms in Unabomber chic. The days did not pass quickly. In our stinky little holiday home from hell, after a week of "you'll get used to it" from gentlemen who in their former lives had hobbies like yanking out their girlfriend's eyeballs, our day in court had finally arrived. A guard delivered our suitcases to our cells and instructed us to change into not as dirty underwear in our crumpled corduroy band suits. Today, we would stand before the local magistrate and be told our fate. What a sight for sore eyes. We looked and smelled like we'd been sleeping in a dumpster for 2 weeks.
Whoa.
The trial was brief. We spoke our well-rehearsed lines to the judge, and it went exactly as Vodka Vic had said it would. He suspended our 3-year sentence with a year's probation, no hard time, records expunged after a year of good behavior, a not too stiff fine, a restitution bill to be paid to the shithead motel jerk, and a legal fee of, you guessed it, exactly the amount we earned on the previous week's gig.
Oh.
The last item on the penal to-do list was the press. The judge instructed us to make a public apology on national TV, and the guys elected me to deliver it by a unanimous vote of, I'm not fucking doing that. After giving it some thought, here's what I said. And this was like NBC, the cameras, this is national TV because we were big in the time. My name is Jimmy Ryan. I'm looking into the camera. My name is Jimmy Ryan. My band, The Critters, had the pleasure of performing in this wonderful town of Glens Falls a week ago. During our stay and in the spirit of good fun, we went a little overboard and some damage was done to the property of one of the fine citizens of Glens Falls. The motel management was fair in not making it too tough on us once we admitted to creating some of the damage cited in their complaint. For our part, and I emphasized some when I did this, for our part in the unfortunate event, we are really sorry. As guests of the state of New York this week, we were comfortable and treated well despite some laundry issues. The motel management also wants potential visitors of Glens Falls to know that as peace-loving small-town folk, they will not be disrespect. Whoa, hold on, this thing just shifted down. They will, hold on. The iPad just shifted down. All right. As guests of the state of New York this week, we were comfortable and treated well despite some laundries. The motel management also wants visitors of Glens Falls to know that as peace-loving small-town folk, they will not be disrespected by scoundrels like the Critters and will seek swift justice if anything like the events of past week takes place in the future. Keith Moon, you have been warned. Younger Girl had started slipping off the charts a few weeks prior in our little adventure in hell. But when the news hit the airwaves, we rocketed right back into the top 10. Who says soft rock bands can't break ashtrays? A couple of years ago, I took my kids skiing at Whiteface Mountain, Lake Placid. As we were driving up the New York State Thruway, I saw the sign for the exit to Glens Falls, and I said to myself, wouldn't it be fun to take a quick trip down memory lane, drive by the mom and pop general store, the diner, Bates Motel? Then I had another thought. What would I do if I got pulled over? There it is.
Very good. Very good.
Man.
And let them see the cover of the book so that they can get
Yeah.
I know
I already wrote it down.
A couple of people got it. Yeah.
Yes.
There it is.
Kind
That's
autobiography of a musical shapeshifter.
Man, very good.
Oh,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing.
The stories are all on that level. I really made a point to make them funny because, as I always say to everybody, if you just write a book about, I played this gig, it was great, it was Madison Square Garden, it sold out, man, still, we played these songs, nobody's going to want to read that. They want to know what happened in between the gigs.
Oh, of course. That's why we do this show. That's why we do everything. And man, it took us 3 nights to get here, but wow. So now, next on your hit parade is you got to join us on a Friday night.
I'm going to try and do that. That's tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yes, it is. Yeah. April Fool, as a matter of fact.
Same time, same link?
Same time, same link. Just pop in whenever you want. You don't have to be early, late. You can do the French goodbye, whatever you want. Yeah, come in. It'll be fun. Yeah, it'll be cool.
And great stories.
Yeah, great stories. Thank you, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll actually get to play some music.
I'm sorry, what?
I said maybe we'll actually get to play some music at some point.
That would be fun. Oh my God. I got to tell you, when the pandemic broke out, I put the guitar down and started writing, and I hadn't played for like 2 years. I mean, I'd pick it up every now and just a few notes or two. I got to pick that damn thing up and start practicing if I'm ever going to play again,
I did the same thing. I mean, not that I didn't play, but I went in the other day, day before yesterday, and sat down, played for about 45 minutes, and I'm thinking, where did all this blood come from? I was like,
right, the blisters on the hand. Yeah, same here. The calluses on the fingers go in. Why does this hurt? It never hurt before.
Really?
Not that I can remember. But like you probably, I've been playing since I was 10, and it was always a job. It was never a hobby. Maybe in the first practicing years, but once I started getting gigs, that was my day job. So it was play for fun, and I say no, I don't. I play for work.
Well, it evolved into that, but in a very short amount of time. People used to say, "Well, what's it like to do that? What's it like to do that?" And I said, it's great. It's bad. You sleep. And so I finally came up with the answer, and the answer is, do you remember a beautiful Saturday afternoon, spring, got the day off from school, you rode your bike all day as far as you could go, you barely made it home in time for dinner, and I said, and imagine if after that somebody gave you $1,000 and said, now make sure you do that again tomorrow. That's what it's like.
Wow, that's great. I love that. I'm going to use that.
Hey, boys.
Wait. One of our viewers says, great book, finished it last week.
Nice.
There you go. One of our regular viewers. So
very good.
That's good, man. Well, look, it's good. Is there any music coming up in the future for you, or we just all circling the airport?
Yeah, circling the drain.
No, not the drain. Not yet. I'm ready for the drain.
Let's go to Great Falls.
Falls. Yeah, what I plan on doing is just creating unusual versions of songs. And for nothing, just to put them up there. I've done a couple. They're on YouTube. I did Crossroads, the Cream song. That's kind of fun. And I did a what's his name? Red hair singer-songwriter plays. Ed Sheeran. I did Ed Sheeran's Afterglow, but I did a 4-part harmony and all that. If you go on we're friends on Facebook, right?
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah. So go to my identity and you'll see. I posted both of them on there, and you can see.
Cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah, you are friends. That's how you connected.
That's right. Because you wrote and said that you played on Mad Dog, and that blew my mind.
Yes.
Right. But we had some interim mutual friend, though, I think, didn't we? Or did we just connect directly? Maybe we did. I don't know.
No, I think we connected directly. I think
because you wrote
it just blew my mind that you played on, and then to hear the whole story of how that happened was even. Yeah. It's just it's a small crazy business that we're in, man.
Yeah. Well, the pro end is very small compared to the number of kids out there playing it. You know what's blowing my mind these days? I go on YouTube and I see 10-year-old kids playing bass like the guy from Dirty Loops. And I'm, guitar players playing rings around Eric Clapton, and they're 15 years old. And I go, what's going on with these kids? Why are they making records? And it's scary because it's so much better than people were in my day.
Yeah, well, think about it. You get I get the benefit of your whole 60, 70 years.
Yeah.
And then I get to pick out of your 60 or 70 years the things that work for me and then build my own castle.
It's like,
and that's
basketball players are
that's
better
always what it's
these
been.
days.
Yeah. I mean, you got to learn the tricks that set you apart, or you have to be so dedicated to your thing that gives you pleasure, playing wise, that it becomes your style, and hopefully it has some value to somebody other than your girlfriend.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Or wife.
Well, yeah, or your wife. Yeah,
that's right.
Believe me, I like, for I love every kind of music that there can be, and we discussed this. Everything from West Side Story to Mahavishnu Orchestra, and when I just write for grins, I write jazz fusion with really torqued out chords and time signatures, and she loses her mind. I mean, she hates that shit. It's not even. It's like, hey, come in and listen to this. And, it's like, it's not even. Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah,
I hate that shit. I put Jeff Beck on once. We were driving across country, and she turned it down and she looked at me and she said, "If you played this for monkeys, they would flip out."
And Jeff Beck isn't the wildest of the pack. You put on Mahavishnu Orchestra.
I won't even go there.
I would have jumped out of the car.
There's no Intermountain Flame over there, pal.
Oh, man.
And I love that shit. I love playing it, and I love.
I say put on some Build Me Up Buttercup.
Yeah, she's ready to.
Okay.
A Critters fan. No, a Critters fan.
Okay.
So, there you go. Hey, Jimmy, man, thank you. This has really been a blast.
My pleasure.
I hope we see you tomorrow night.
I hope so.
And we'll figure out some trouble to get into together. That'll be fun.
I love that. That would be good.
Thanks for reading to us. That was great.
Thanks.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
We'll do it
Take
again.
It easy.
See you
tomorrow.
Take care, man.
Bye.
How cool was that?
He's very cool. He tells a good story.
Yeah, he tells a good story. And the thing about it is he strikes me as being the perfect guy to be in those situations.
Up there asking for part 4.
Asking for part 4?
I could easily love to see part 4. Michael Newton said, and Laurie Richardson said, me too.
Hey, we can do part 4. I love hanging out.
He's a great one.
Guys, it's a party at my house. Well, that's really what it is. It's, come on over and let's tell stories.
We'd have
this
him
would be
till
exactly
the end,
it. Yeah.
at the end of the night.
We'd be playing some music, and then,
He would have spent the night.
Yeah, over on the other side anyway, it was a great time. A lot of fun.
Yes, okay. And, part 4 we'll have to
we'll do a part 4. I mean, it's it's nice when you have somebody on the show that understands how to have the conversation that is entertaining and that is enlightening in a way, because if we're doing the show and you're not getting anything out of it, well, I lived it, Dottie. Anyway.
Okay, so tomorrow night is
April Fool's Day. It's
April Fool's Day.
So if anything happens tomorrow, it's absolutely real. Okay?
All right. So yay for Jimmy Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. We held him overtime, but it was worth the journey. And if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.